Yo, what's going on YouTube? This is your boy Kamen Zero Spike back again once again. And today we're here for Bakuage Sentai BoonBoomger episode 7. And this episode we get the debut of BoonBoomger Orange. And man, Genba has to be one of the coolest characters. We don't know much about him yet. We don't really know much about any of our team here. Like, we know about them, we know who they are and things like that, but we're really not getting a lot of like actual like little backstories and stuff like that. Well, Mira may seem like she has probably one of the most simplest ones. Same thing with Joe, but Sashido, Taya, and Genba are like the real mysteries. Like, we don't know nothing about them. We don't know nothing about these guys. We don't know why Taya is super rich. We don't know why Genba is, you know, who he is, and we don't know who Sashido is, and we don't know how homeboy was trying to rob Taya. Like, we don't know, but we're gonna get there. Like, we gotta let the story unfold. Like, we're going to get those answers and to the questions, though maybe not all of them, because, you know, all questions are always answered, but I think a good majority of these questions that we have for these characters of who they are, where they come from, and like what's their deal and things like that, and what's the story of these, you know, the Hashirara-sen and even Boon himself. Like, we're going to get these answers. I'm just glad that we're not getting them super quickly, you know, like not rushing it. I would like a balance between that, like a balance between like getting this information while also, like, you know, just progressing with the actual story too. So, but yeah, like I'm still really enjoying BoonBoomger, and it's like a lot of the only thing that's really getting stale to me. The only thing that really gets stale to me is like the mech fights with Yaru. I mean, I know they switch it up every time, like they switch it up how they beat him every time, but it's just like, do we have to do the Yaru fight in every, you know, with every mech fight? Like, do we have to do that? I mean, I know, I guess it's like, it's a different spin on it, with basically just making all the mech fights like a 2v1, like, you know, like a kind of like a 2-round kind of thing, like a phase 1 and a phase 2. But yeah, like, I get it. It's just that it gets kind of redundant, even though it's different every time with the switch ups and stuff. It still gets kind of redundant. But other than that, this episode we see that Genba has, you know, he basically just kind of feels like the rest of the team is kind of like leaving him behind like that, even though he don't know them like that, except like Taya and Sashido. But he don't really know Joe and Mira like that. I mean, they've seen him, but other than that, like, they don't really know him like that. But he still kind of feels like he's getting like kind of left behind but stuff. We see that in this episode we get a big like wall monster, which is like one of my, like, I feel like this monster is gonna be like my favorite monster. Like, this monster was like my favorite monster. He was so funny. Like, this episode really made me laugh with how his power was. His power is basically like he could just put up walls anywhere. Like, anywhere he could just put walls up. And some of these instances is just like, oh, y'all can just go over it. Or why don't y'all just reach around it? Like, there's a part where he put walls around these girls' food, and it's just a wall sitting. It's just like a small wall like sitting on top of the table. And I'm like, you clearly can just go around that. Just go around the freaking thing and get your food, yo. Like, it was hilarious. I really did like this monster. His power was cool. Like, he was just very funny, and he had like a haiku he did when they beat him. I'm getting ahead of myself, but in this episode we see that Genba is kind of feeling kind of inadequate, you know, and we see that Taya does offer him a changer and the axe, and the same way how they, you know, gave Joe his stuff. But I'm just like, Genba already had a changer. We've already seen him with one, like very briefly, but we've already seen Genba with the changer. So like, was that like a thing? Did they forget? Did somebody in the prop department, you know, forget that he already had that? Like, and he has the same changer as Joe. So it's just like, what happened there? Like somebody forgot, somebody got a stern talking to because of that, because like that was just something that kind of irked me, and I see other people talking about that as well. But yeah, he kind of declines the offer, saying that, you know, he doesn't like have the same idea, he doesn't have the same, like, you know, road that he's going down with the rest, like with, like, you know, how Taya and all the others are. Like he's not going down that same road and stuff like that. So Taya's like, okay, well, he still gives it to him, but he's like, well, because he, you know, it was a delivery, so he still gives it to him, but he's like, oh well, you know, whenever you decide you want to catch up, then you can catch up, but we're gonna keep pressing forward. And he's like, okay, cool. But we see that Mad Rex is still having this, like, he's still thinking about how Boon Red is, how Taya is, and, you know, he's still thinking about, like, this guy gave me like a really good fight. Like, he's thinking about this, right, like he's basically created like this rivalry with Red, and we see that throughout this whole episode, like that's the only person he's targeting. Like he's the only person that he's really targeting like that. And even when the fight happens with Mad Rex, the monster, and the rest of the team, after they form the whole team, he basically says that, like, he basically just singles him out the most out of everybody else. So we see that the rest of the team, they go to fight the monster, and when they basically fight him, like they can't, like he's putting these walls up, and they're trying to like get through these walls and stuff. We see that, but by the time they get through the walls, you know, they do some like these combo attacks and stuff like that, which was dope. We got to see Gemba's full henshin, which was actually really cool. And I think I don't know what would he necessarily be like. We see he basically like construction, like his two cars are basically like construction based. So one was a bulldozer, and the other one was there's a bulldozer, and the other one with the shovel, like the goes in the ground, picks stuff up, like the long arm, like which is also based on the new mecha that they actually create in this episode too. So he henshins up, and he basically helps them fight the monster and stuff like that. And when they ended up defeating the monster, it was pretty dope. I love this whole fight scene between it. Like he had one moment where the monster's trying to put up these walls. He puts up these walls and tries to crush Gemba, and then Gemba basically like speeds through him, jumps over and hits him. And then there's another really dope move that Joe does, where he goes with a few slashes and goes into this freaking high kick. I'm like, yo, man, this cinematography and this fight scenes are still really freaking good. And everybody else just kind of does their ultimate attacks and stuff like that. I still say Sashiru is just his ult is just a freaking blue Hellzone grenade. Like that's all it is. But other than that, after they ended up defeating the monster, we see that they end up taking him back to the base. And yeah, Joe's introducing him to it, but I'm like, Gemba's been here before. Like they got history with him. Like we've seen him be here before anyway. So like he's been here before, and we see that he ends up becoming like kind of more. His bond kind of gets bigger with Boon Boon, because like in this episode we also said that Boon Boon wanted to meet a idol that he really liked, and this idol was like, I guess it was like a character or something like that, where it was like a trash can with two tongues coming out. I was like, yeah, this some Japan stuff. But yeah, then they kind of tried to sneak Boon Boon out, and they dressed him up in this freaking terrible disguise. But yeah, but this episode was great. I did like this episode. Only thing that's really getting stale to me is like sort of the mech fights. The new mecha was dope. I mean, I did like it. It's just the yellow head really didn't match the rest of the body. Like with the police one, yeah, it matched because it was like a cool black. like the color, like black goes with everything. Like the color black can literally go with any color, right? And this yellow, it just stood out too much. And the face, it stood out too much to me because the rest of the body was still red, and was still the regular freaking colors, was, you know, the red, silver, and the red, white, silver, and black. And then he had like the big arm that was a hammer that was also, you know, yellow and orange, and then the head was yellow, and it just really didn't fit the rest of the mech, you know. I don't know. I mean, I liked it. I liked the power set of it because it was actually, they used it to fight the monster and stuff. You know, after he put a wall up, they found a weak point in the wall, and it broke the wall, and it was breaking him, and that's how it was defeating him. But yeah, like I wasn't feeling this mech. I wasn't feeling this one. The police one's dope. I love that one. That fits perfectly well. But the Genbas, I don't know. It looked weird. It just looked really weird to me. But yeah, this episode was great. This episode was dope. We got the full team now, and I wonder if, like, man, we're gonna get that Sixth Ranger. Like, what is he gonna be like? I'm hoping that the Sixth Ranger for BoonBoomger is motorcycles. I feel like, because no, they gotta get bikes in here eventually. You know, I feel like, and I feel like if he isn't, I feel like there's like a missed opportunity. I don't know. I just feel like there should be some kind of motorcycle or some type of four-wheeler, or like the tri-bikes, you know, the motorcycle with like 3 wheels. Like, I feel like we gotta get some bikes in here eventually. You know, like King-Ohger had all bugs and one arachnid. Like, I feel like there's gonna be a missed opportunity if we don't get at least one motorcycle theme type freaking stuff. You know, it doesn't have to be a full mech. You just have a motorcycle, you know, that turns into a sword, or turns into, or they can get on the motorcycle. But other than that, you guys let me know down in the comment section below what you guys think about this episode of Bakuage Sentai BoonBoomger. Make sure to like, share, subscribe, hit that notification bell. Let me know all your thoughts down there in the comment section below. I'm gonna see you guys next time, and remember, stay Henshin.